$75 million more into the Board of Education in the last 5 years. It was a $134 million city contribution in 2003. And then when I became mayor in 2004, we started increasing it, and now we're up to $219 million of the city's contribution to the Board of Ed. It was done for a reason. It was done to continue to build a quality education system, and we're going to continue to do that. So I can promise you that. I can't promise you there won't be any cuts, but if they happen, it will be the last resort. Yes.
First, thanks for having the town hall meetings again. It's been much too long. I have a question from some people on Amicone Hill, but before I ask that question, today when I was driving down Prescott Street, I noticed that it seems to be a leak, a water leak. I noticed it because there was a sheet of ice, that there must have been a water leak and it must have frozen over last night. So if you could send somebody to take a look at it, on Prescott Street between Garfield and Webster. And one other thing, you were mentioning about the permit parking. Today I took a walk, I think it's Alan Shepherd Place, close to McLean Avenue, that you can access the county trailway. And on one side of the street it says permit parking. On the other side of the street there are cars which are parked on the dirt. It's uncertain whether they're supposed to have permits or not. It's a wonderful place if you're going to drive and you're going to bring your bike to take a drive on the bike. So that might be something that maybe you might want to put some signs up there to clarify that.
Yeah, my guess is that probably doesn't allow parking there.
Jackson County property.
Yeah, all right. This gentleman is one of our police officers. It is county property. You'll notice in certain places around the city, Bronx River Road is one of them, Scarsdale Road is one of them. People park in places where they're not legally allowed to park. There's no place for them to park. And yes, we could enforce the law and we could ticket them all for parking. All of that is county parkland or county right-of-way for the Bronx River Parkway or some of the county streets. We don't do anything because mainly the people in the neighborhood don't complain, and because it's them who are using it, or they who are using it. And their life becomes even worse when all of a sudden they have no place to park and then they have to go several blocks away. So, you know, it's one of those instances where no action is probably a better use of our time, but if it ever becomes serious or dangerous or the county wants to enforce it, then we will. As far as the parking, the permit parking is only where the signs are posted. The other side is not regulated by that.
It's a wonderful place to park. You can take your bike out. Yeah. But what the question is, and it involves Rumsey Road, not the part that you're talking about. The part that's the access to the parkway, the Saunders Parkway. It's been nasty. You talk about potholes. It's been nasty this year, and it's actually been pretty bad. How far down does the city is the city responsible, and when does the state take over responsibility for paving that Rumsey Road?
Yeah.
Sir, it would, right about where the entrance is, where the light is, the county takes over after that. Okay. We're responsible south of that. So we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, actually, if when you're repaving Rumsey Road, if you could go all the way down to the light, would be good, because it's been in poor condition for a while. And it also would be nice if you could just widen it a little bit, coming up from the light, because there's a two-lane exit onto the light, and it's very dangerous when you have that two-lane exit from the light.
Right.
Cars that are taking from the right lane are always pulling into the left lane, and I'm surprised there haven't been more accidents.
Okay, we'll take a look.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to thank you for taking the roads on Midland Avenue and for developing this great city. It looks a lot better than it did 10 years ago, and I don't think anybody else can, would agree with that. But my question is basically about utility companies like Con Edison, phone companies, and basically if you have a dispute, it may be a $25 dispute, but you don't have a lot of options to dispute it because they're operating outside of the area, even though they're running. So I was wondering in the future if something can be done, because seems like they steal a little bit from me, they steal a little bit from you, and it all adds up. That might be a source of revenue, continuous revenue that can go back to the city.
When you say a dispute, are you talking about like a billing dispute
Yeah,
or
like
a
a
service dispute?
Yeah, if you have a building dispute, let's say, and you want to take, for example, Cablevision or Con Edison, you feel like this bill was incorrect, you can't go really to a small claims court because you can't serve it because there's no mailing address or there's no office here. It's usually a P.O. box out of state, even though the companies operate here. So, and this trickles down to all the utility companies, the phone companies, and they're allowed to operate here, but yet we can't dispute it as citizens, and it gets pretty frustrating because you know, like $20 here, that $20 there, $20 there. I mean, everybody will agree that paying $2.99 for a dozen eggs is not going away soon, or you know, a gallon of milk. So we're getting hit by all angles. So I was wondering if there's anything that can be done to dispute these monopolies.
You do have an outlet. I'm not going to suggest that that outlet is very responsive, but you do have an outlet. All those utilities are actually governed by the Public Service Commission. They're the ones that allow their rates to go, to be raised. They're the ones that basically regulate them. And they're the ones that you should file your complaints with, because if they find out that they're illegally billing or they're inappropriately billing and they start getting a lot of complaints, they can haul them in and they can actually make them pay back. So Public Service Commission, which is a state, now, it was set up. It was set up to be that place where you could go. I haven't seen them deny too many increases in rates for any of the utilities for too many years. So I don't have the greatest faith that they'll be responsive, but I will tell you this, if they start getting a number of people complaining, and if you know people who have similar problems, have them complain in writing, demand action be taken, and I suspect at some point they'll accumulate enough and they'll finally call them in and say, you got a problem going on there and you better fix it. And fixing it may mean refund the monies to customers who are complaining, who are inappropriately or whatever, illegally being billed or billed the wrong amounts, or not getting the service they're entitled to. Right now, that's the only legal authority that you have and I have to complain about those public utilities, other than doing work in city rights of way where they're not doing it properly. Those are the things we can do something about. As far as billing goes, it's Public Service Commission.
Good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And when you get a chance, this lady down here in the front has been very patiently raising her hand. So, in fact,